1% of dudes rapping, they ain't nice as me. 98% ain't live the same type of life as me. The judge gave me life and then they sent me where the life is be. That level 4 with depth and vice, the type of stuff they like to see. Two choices, fight or flee. I refuse to die a chump. I never been a mark, but damn, it's scary when that riot jump. I seen dudes cry, get pumped, and some sexually brutalized. Knew a dude who lost his life and he was only doing 5 year-long racial fights when homie all you do is ride. Lonely days and nights up in a hole causing suicide. From the moment you arrive, you see the Mexican mafia, AB skinheads with big giant swastikas, pro-black philosophers, the BGF, the Kumi, and Muslims who will murk you from the nation to the Sunni. That MS was loony, quick to ride up on they rival. Even Christians went to church, hide knives up in a Bible. Political and tribal, the Crips and Damus, the Long Beach, the Hubs and the Dubs and the Grooves, the IE, the Bakersfield, the Dago Pyrus, the Hustlers quick to roll, the gangsters don't move. Whatever click you choose, you better.
So I'm gonna be reacting today to a video by Dubs, right? And I'm gonna keep it 100 from the gate. I feel that Dubs has a low-key dislike for black people, and he uses certain things that happen in society or certain things that's going on, you know, on the news or whatever, to get in his little shots and his digs at black people, right? And I'm gonna just keep it 100. That's the feeling that I get from this dude. So let's get into this video.
The tape was released, and people sure are quiet. What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. New video. Here I go again, speaking on the Carmelo Anthony case.
Oh, my bad. I thought he was gonna say, "Here I go again, speaking on black people," because he loves to speak about black people, right? And to me, it's crazy. You know, as a content creator, I get it, right? But I have seen Dubs tell other people and also tell me about things that I shouldn't speak on, right? And when he's telling me and these other people what we should or we shouldn't speak on, is based on prison politics, right? So if we're gonna base things on prison politics, then you shouldn't be talking about black people, right? To me, that's crazy, right? I'm not saying he shouldn't have that right, you know, because prison politics don't govern what I do out here. I'm gonna do what I want to do, you know what I'm saying, out here. In prison, I'm gonna do what I have to do in prison, right? That's just keeping it 100, right? But for this dude to try to dictate what people should and shouldn't talk about, but then give himself the freedom to talk about anything, to me, it's just insane, right? And it just trips me out.
You know, during the trial, a lot was said. People really tried to make Carmelo Anthony the victim in this case. A lot of people who like to play on people's emotions based off of race, they were out there with bullhorns. They were in front of every microphone and every camera they could find.
And once again, just keep it at 100. I feel, this is just me, and you guys tell me if I'm wrong, I feel that is him taking a direct shot at black people. Not people who supported Carmelo Anthony, but specifically black people and the black race. Now, this is coming from a dude who, in some of his earlier videos, right, admitted that at one point in time, he was a racist. He has admitted to not liking black people, right, at one point in time. So my question is, if you're a racist, how do you become not a racist? What do? You know, how do you untrain those things, beliefs, ideologies, actions, so on and so forth, that made you racist to begin with? Well, his way of not becoming racist, according to him, was going to prison, going to California's prison, one of the most racially segregated, incarcerated systems, if not the most racially segregated places in America. So he goes to prison and he becomes no longer racist. Right now, I just know that, you know, one good thing about being a lifer, right, that I realized, and this is why you see so many individuals go to prison and then return. One good thing about being a lifer, you have to take these self-help courses, right, which is psychology-based courses to try to undo the type of thinking and stuff that led you to prison. And if you take some of these courses seriously and you try to find the things that apply to you and you insert them into your life, then you do have a great chance of changing, right? So, but I know that those courses are necessary. So if you don't take any courses related to that, to whatever the problem is, right? But in this particular case, being a racist, how are you really going to undo that type of stuff, right? So this, that's my thing with this dude right here, and regardless of what he says, in my opinion, a lot of his racist beliefs still tend to pop out from time to time.
They were trying to overshadow what actually happened and get people emotionally charged. For what? There were people that said they saw the video and that Carmelo was getting jumped, that there were multiple people on Carmelo. How did they not realize that sooner or later the video will come out? Well, the video came out and I think we've all seen it. And I think that we all have questions, right? There was more than one tent there. Why did Carmelo pick that tent? What was the reason behind that particular tent?
Now, I haven't followed that case much, right? But in my opinion, man, Carmelo can choose to sit wherever he chooses to sit. He was at a public event and he sat where he sat. To me, it's like Dubs is trying to make it seem like, he sat under the tent to specifically get into it with that dude. And, what has happened, right? What I trip off on, not only with Dubs, but a lot of these other content creators who are, in my opinion, they are race baiting. This is what they're doing, right? Because if I seen this video early when he dropped it, right? And just looking quickly into the comments then, you had people making racial comments, right? And in my opinion, when you have a situation that occurs, just say with some of these white kids who are shooting up schools and mosques and doing the stuff that they're doing, right? Shooting up Walmarts and churches. When you have white people commenting in those comments are not racially charged. They're not racially disrespectful like you will see in the comments when people are doing things on black people, right? And one thing I trip on these content creators, like, why are they failing? Because every time Dub says they, I'm hearing black people, right? That's just me. And I want you guys to tell me if I'm wrong, right? But I'm wondering, why doesn't Dubs point out all the other black people who were believing Carmelo Anthony was guilty? Not every black person was riding with Carmelo Anthony, right? And even from the gate, I said that according to how Texas laws were written, I said I felt that Carmelo Anthony was going to be found guilty and that he had an uphill battle. So while you do have some individuals, right, who chose to ride with Carmelo Anthony, some of them may have chose to ride with him simply based on race. Others, I felt, chose to ride with him due to historically how black people have been mistreated and given the short end of the stick historically. And to me, that's not even a question, right? But let me just show you guys all the black people who believed Carmelo Anthony was wrong.
He's guilty. Y'all know he's guilty. You don't get a pass because you black.
Like, are you people, black people, are you kidding me right now?
However, in fact, there is a large number of black online users who will take to their social media and agree with the all-white jury that Anthony was guilty. And for them, they don't care if he was black. Wrong is wrong.
No reason why he should have pulled out a knife. You don't do something like that. You fight it out like a man.
What would you say to them saying that it was 4 against 1?
It wasn't 4 against 1. None of the evidence points to that.
Why do everybody think Carmelo is not guilty? Like, y'all got to start taking race out of everything. Like, Carmelo is definitely guilty. He did not need to use deadly force against that boy. He killed that boy in cold blood. Look at the facts. Like, you was asked to leave the tent multiple times before they even did anything to you or touched you. You should have left the tent. That was his first mistake right there. When you trying to prove self-defense by deadly force, you have to have taken every option to get out the situation. He had an option to get out the situation. He did not have to stay in the tent when he did that. 2, he had the nerve to say, touch me and see what happens. You see what I'm saying? Like, Carmelo knew he had a knife on him. You see what I'm saying? And boom, you getting into it with 3-4 boys. Like, you know they're gonna jump you. You know what I'm saying? So you egged him into fighting you, so you had a reason to stab him, and it didn't go his way. Like, it's levels to self-defense, and I feel like we need to start teaching people what real self-defense is when it's coming to using deadly force.
I'm not no Uncle Tom neither, but y'all gotta make sure y'all got y'all common sense making caps on today. You supposed to be in jail.
Guys, this shouldn't be an argument. If you stab somebody at a school event, you should go to jail. Why didn't you just fight the other kid? What made it seem as if it was a good idea to stab another child?
So, I don't like when people make it seem like as if every single black person was on Carmelo's side simply because he was black, right? And there's another case that also occurred in Texas where you had a white dude by the name of Cason Allison happen to stab a Latino by the name of Jose Ramirez, pretty much under some similar circumstances, right? Now, the white dude was saying that he wanted to put Jose in the hospital. They had a previous beef, right, or whatever. And so they go to the school bathroom. They start fighting. I believe that Jose throws the first punch, and then the white dude pulls out a knife and he stabs Jose multiple times. Jose walks out of the bathroom, passes out, and dies, right? You had a lot of black people speak out for that. You had a lot of black people speaking out for that situation. So, just when these dudes tend to make this stuff racist, to me, it's crazy, right? I don't know how much of this video I'm going to show you guys because there's some other things I want to point out. But let's get back into what he's talking about.
Whatever it was, he went and he sat there. And in the tape, you can clearly see, well, I don't want to say clearly. In the tape, you can see, in the video, you can see Austin approached him, pushed him, and then was stabbed. I find it very alarming. I'm not surprised, but I find it alarming that there were so many people willing to get in front of cameras, in front of microphones, in front of their phones, and post things to social media, creating a whole scenario out of thin air. And it was a scenario that some people were really, really stoking the flames. I'll say that. I'll say it that way. And now that the video has come out, they're not apologetic at all. They're not apologizing to anybody.
And see, this is why this trips me out, right? Because he says they're still trying to say it's self-defense. While I just showed you the video, you have several black people who disagree with Carmelo. Let me break something down for you guys that I've never mentioned before, right? That may not be clear to those of you guys who have never been to prison, right? Prison politics is based on first and foremost a lot of intelligence, a lot of deception, a lot of sometimes not knowing, not letting the left hand know what the right hand is doing, right? You will have this is you have a lot of individuals in there who read The Art of War, among many other books, right, that talk about a lot of psychology related issues, right? And this is a well-known trick in prison. You may get into it with another individual or another organization. You go out here and you tell this individual or this organization, right? I did it myself, right? Hey man, everything is cool. Don't worry about it. It's water under the bridge. just forget about it, just to put this person or this organization at ease. And then you come out and you attack this person, right? So basically, you don't say what does not need to be heard, right? This is what this is. At times, Dubs has enough sense to try to get his feelings out there without necessarily truly making it known. He'll put just enough out there, and then he'll turn around and he'll mask how he truly feels, right? And this is the situation that kind of caused our relationship to go downhill. When he spoke on he commented on a dude in the feds saying black people were afraid of Mexicans, and I felt that was a message he was trying to put out there, so he let the black dude say it so he wouldn't have to say it, right? To me, it's just incredulous.
Malay, California Youth Authority, and we both paroled. Then I get busted later. I get busted after 5 months, and a couple years down the line, I'm talking to somebody in the yard in prison, right? And he asked me, "Hey, you know so and so?" The guy I was on wire with, and I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Hey, do you hear what happened to him?" I said, "Nah, what happened?" He was in his neighborhood. He walked up to a certain little spot in his neighborhood. He was standing there waiting for his homeboys. I guess they had just went somewhere, and he was standing there waiting for him. Another guy walks up to him, and he's like, "Hey, what's up? Where'd the homies go?" And he's like, "Oh, I think they went to the store, this and this and that." He's like, "Oh, all right." And then pulls out a gun and shoots the guy I was in YA with. Shoots him in his stomach. He grabs the gun, they tussle, he gets the gun, takes it from the guy. Remember, by the way, he was from a rival neighborhood. The other guy, right? So the rival shoots, the guy I know, shoots him in the stomach, gets his gun taken from him, and then gets taken out with his own gun. The guy that got shot in the stomach got a manslaughter and got 12 years. He was shot in the stomach and got 12 years for taking the other guy's life. And compare that to Carmelo Anthony getting pushed, not shot, not punched, not stabbed. Nothing life-threatening happened to him. He pulls out a knife and plunges it into the heart of Austin Metcalf. I don't get. I'm down the middle, right?
You hear Dub saying that the dude was just pushed. The dude was only pushed, and he don't know why the dude plunged a knife into his heart or whatever. But do you guys remember not too long ago, Dub said that if me and Gunner had a boxing match, he was not going to be able to attend because if he saw me due to some words that I had said, it was going to get cracking between me and him, right? Here is this dude, right, who is 50 plus years old. He claims, he's a rehabilitated, reformed individual. He's a lifer who had to study a lot of self-help courses to kind of reprogram his mind and the way he thinks and so on and so forth. And with all this newfound education in his life, along with the experience of going to prison for 24 years, along with knowing that he is a former lifer who doesn't really have the luxury of being violent, he's willing to risk throwing all that away behind words. If he sees me behind words, but then you want to be overcritical and criticize a young, misguided 17-year-old who made a bad decision at the age of 17, a decision that you and I both made in our younger years, right? So I trip on these dudes, man, these former lifers and gang members who go to prison. They get these self-help courses, they become educated and turn into a new person, suddenly have disdain for the same individuals they were many years ago. Now, I can understand disagreeing with it, right? I can understand that and I get it, right? But I'm not going to be overcritical of a dude who obviously was misguided because he's bringing a knife to school at 17. So obviously he's misguided. And I'm not going to be overcritical of him doing the same thing that I done. I mean, come on, man. It's a difference between doing content. It's a difference between evaluating a situation and then stepping into the realm of now where it starts to get hypocritical. Because when you are an individual who is 3 times the age of somebody, you have experience, you have education, you have understanding that this young, confused individual does not have, right? And so saying that you don't understand him when you pretty much done the same thing, to me is I don't get it, right? Once again, I feel that a lot of his commentary and a lot of his criticism is based once again on his deep down dislike of black people. And to me, it's crazy, once again, for this dude to tell me what I should and shouldn't talk about based on prison politics, and for him to tell other people they shouldn't mention certain things on prison politics, but him to stay talking about black people. And right after he dropped this video, maybe 30-40 minutes later, I see him speaking on another black gang member in the Los Angeles County Jail, right? So this dude loves to talk about black people, and this dude should stop talking about black people simply because he feels that other people shouldn't talk about other stuff based on prison etiquette. So if you're telling people don't talk about this and don't talk about that based on a prison ideology, why are you steady talking about black people? When you get a chance, check his comments. Look at the racial dissension in some of his comments. I see people talking about, oh yeah, man, they say he was guilty, just like OJ. I see a dude making a comment saying, I forget his exact comment, but it was something about race, and his username was anti-brother, anti-BROTHA. To me, that was very interesting, right? Is the dude in his comments saying he is anti-black? He is anti-black people? But to me, when Dubs puts out this type of content in the way that he does, and he drops these subtle little hints, I believe it's due to his, once again, really dislike of black people. I get it. It's content and it's things to talk about. And in my opinion, he continues to flame the racial divide between blacks and Hispanics. Man, let me give you guys a quick story in closing, man. About 3 or 4 months ago, it's maybe about 11 o'clock at night. I'm riding up the street, right? I happen to see a Mexican dude about 35 years old, and he's with his father who appears to be in his 60s. They're pushing the car. Their car has ran out of gas, right? So I pull over, I jump out, I go run, and I help them. Now they happen to be pushing the car up the street, and now they have to go up this slight little hill to get into the gas station, right? So I tell the older dude, the dad, hey man, get in, me and your son, we'll push the car, right? So we push the car, we're pushing up the hill. I think somebody came and jumped out and helped us also, right? So we end up getting the car up the hill, and they go to the gas station. They thank me profusely, so on and so forth. Hey, no problem, right? 2 Mexican dudes, right? And so this is about 3 or 4 months ago, right? The true story, right? Swear to God. So now, last night, I'm coming past the same Walmart, right? I see a black, just so happens some black people pushing the car, right? The black dude appears to be about 23, 24, young black dude, maybe about 5'7", 150 pounds. He's with a black girl, somewhat similar, somewhat around the same age, and she's a bigger girl, right? But they're both young, so I jump out, I help them. So I tell her, because she's on the passenger side, I tell her, hey, listen, me and him will push the car. You go ahead and you steer the car, and crazy because we're by the same Walmart, but just going the opposite way, right? Their car hadn't ran out of gas. The battery had died or whatever. The car was raggedy, right? So now while we're pushing the car, a car goes past us. The car pulls over to the side. It's a Mexican lady, a young Mexican lady. She couldn't have been no older than 24, 25. She gets out the car. She says, hey, you guys need some help? I see that it's a woman. I said, no, that's okay. We got it. She said, oh, are you sure? I said, no, thank you. We got it. Because I told her, we don't, I appreciate you trying to help, but you're a woman. We don't really need you helping. She said, oh, no, it's no problem. It's no problem. Right. So this lady, she comes over there. She gets behind the car. She helps us push the car. We turn left and go into this parking lot, and then I end up giving those guys a jump, and they end up driving off. I don't know if they made it home. The car sounded raggedy. My whole point is this, man. People are people right now. It was late last night too when the Mexican lady jumped out. She jumped out and decided to help some black people, right? She could have just kept on going. Young lady. So I say all this to say that race only matters when people make it matter. To me, it was crazy because last night I was going to make a short just talking about that situation, right? Because it was just crazy how, I helped some Mexicans. Then later on, I jump out. I help some blacks, and a Mexican person pulls over, and a Mexican lady pulls over and helps some black people push the car. She could have kept on going if she wanted. So my thing is, man, let's keep the situation based on the facts of whatever the situation is. Only time people make things about race is because they have racial feelings. That's just my opinion, man. Anyway, look, you already know what it is. It's your boy 16 to Life. Resume normal program.